If you want to move to Spain with your dependent or with your family or with your spouse and kids, this video is for you because I'll be sharing tips, guides on how you can actually go through the process, the proof of funds, the housing, and documentation that you need in the process. I already have my notes here. I have everything here. Just make sure I don't miss anything out. So we'll be going through each of these points that I've listed out here. The last video which I did about Spain vocational schools, schools in Spain, a lot of people are reaching out regarding if they can move with spouse and everything, and which is pretty fine as well. You can move with spouse in Spain. Just a couple of details for you to know, for you to actually make this move a good one and also get what you want from that move. All right. Now, the most important is let's start with the admission, because no admission, no movement, no admission, no visa. No visa means what? No movement. Now, speaking of admission, what do you need? First of all, you need to apply one to vocational schools for masters, for PhD, or for bachelors, any of them, possibly in English. All right, like I said before, Spain welcomes over 100,000 students in a year, and they have a lot of universities. It all depends on the city where you want to go or what you tend to achieve. For me personally, I prefer Valencia, I prefer Seville, Bajo, some of all these cities, they have different autonomous regions in Spain, but for, let's say, Madrid and Barcelona, that doesn't mean they're not good. Those are top cities in Spain. One, the living cost is quite high, rent is quite high, and the schools in these places are also quite high and quite competitive to get, because you know what, everybody wants to live in the city. Everybody's just struggling to be in the city. One, there's life in the city, you get to connect and be with people, but most times people tend to leave out what is the main goal, why they moved there. The city is good, I must tell you, but if you actually want to enjoy that country, leave the city, move somewhere else. You can tend to visit the city back and forth. I've been to this place. I've been to Spain. I've named all this place I'm telling you now. But if you want to enjoy life in these countries, live outside the city areas. That's where you actually enjoy the benefits of living to these places. For admission, so for example, if you apply for application fee, for example, you can budget like €100. I've made a video about how much you need to study in Spain, and the tuition fee, like I've said, for public schools for BSc ranges, for example, like 750 to 35. For masters, from 75 to 4,000. For public universities, it's quite cheap as well. Then for vocational schools, it's also affordable. But I have to actually say this. This brings me to the second point, which is accreditation. For example, you want to move to Spain with vocational school and with your family, please pay attention to the accreditation of that particular school. If it is a public vocational school, you are good to go. That is government owned. They have all the accreditation that they can imagine. But if it's now a private institution in Spain, make sure that they are accredited. Sorry. Because that accreditation now will help you in your visa stage, also helps you with bringing families, and in your visa to get it approved. Pay attention to that. So if you're looking at vocational school, I'm saying this personally when it comes to vocational school, make sure that school is accredited. Ask them if they're accredited. If they say yes or no, also go online to do your own research and see the accreditation before you can as well go ahead with tuition fee payment and all that you need to know before you start your visa application, because you don't want to go through that stage and it ends up that they're not accredited. You waste time, one, you waste money as well, and you end up regretting all the whole thing. You don't want to be in that shoe, because the ending won't go well. I've thought about 2 points now. Now, the third one is the application type. Now, for someone who has, I imagine that you have the admission. The admission I'm talking about, you have paid your tuition fee, you have your acceptance letter. Now, you have the basic document that is needed for Spain student visa, which I will still talk in this video. Now, what else do you need? Now, and you have family. Let's say you have spouse, that is your wife. Let's say, for example, the man is the main applicant here, the wife is the spouse, and you have 2 kids. That's family of 4. The wife and husband, which is 2. Then 2 kids is 4. Family of 4. Maybe you have 3 kids, family of 5. Now, you guys want to move. 2 ways to do it. It's either a joint application or family reunification. Let me explain this process. This pretty works the same like Portugal, like other countries. It can be a joint application. It can be a family unification of a thing. Joint application is where you, the main applicant now, you have your acceptance letter from school, you pay the tuition fee, you have the receipt and the of all the whole payment. You have the basic document there for the student visa application. Your children and your spouse, they are putting in the application together with you guys. You just need to book appointment with your consulate in whichever country you are in. Then all of you, that is this family of five now, will go in and submit for the visa. That's a joint application. All right. So for sometimes, if you're applying for family now and if you are applying for visa now, what I would say is give them back a maximum of 60 days. We just got a visa that took 3 months, all right, which is above 60 days, even close to, I don't know what I would even say. We just received a visa right now that took 3 months before that visa came out. So if you're applying for visa, you have to exercise for a lot of patience right now and give them the time to decide. Just do your own due diligence, put in your effort and see what God can do. That's what we keep telling our people, our client that we're working with. All right. Now, for the joint application, like I said earlier, you, the main applicant, and your family applying. Then the next other one is family reunification. This is where you, as a person, the main applicant now, you decide to move to Spain for whichever reason. Maybe you don't have enough funds for you to do the application altogether. You decide to go there, try to water the grounds, know the places, know the environment, make arrangement. Then you start bringing them. You, the main applicant now, once you move there, first of all, let's say in the next 1 month, or maybe first thing you need to do is go and what? Try to regularize your stay. When I say regularize your stay, what do I mean? You go to the TIE office, try to change your status, get the NIE document. This is where you have the paper and also have to remember the numbers. This helps kind of like, you know, put you steady in the country. As time goes on, probably after 1 year, then you definitely, I believe you have built a good reputation in the country. When I mean reputation, like you have out of any crime, you have good job, like a work contract, you have a housing that can house family, because you need to pay attention to housing. I'll talk about that later in this video as well, because not every house can actually take family, especially if you're a family of five, family of two, a family of three, family of four. So they're kind of like houses that you need to get. And again, you need to have the Spanish bank account. You have to have money in there. Now you need to prove, once you go to the immigration now, to let them know you want to bring a family. That is going to the place of family unification. You need to provide some basic documents in Spain, work, means of sustenance has to do with your bank statement in Spain, housing, contract and everything. You need to provide it for them to see that you're eligible to bring in that number of people that you want to bring in. And once everything all checks out good, this is where now you bring them. That's why you go in now for family unification. These are for people who want one person to move first before they come in. But if you are all of you guys, like for example, you guys are well to do, you guys have the finances and all that it takes, you guys can go in as joint application and apply together, then move to Spain. All good. That's for the application type. All right. Now for the proof of funds, now what do you need? Let me also go into the consideration of you guys are applying together. That's for joint application now. You as a person, you need at least 680 euros per month to survive in Spain. This is outside you have paid your tuition fee. Remember, this after you have gotten your admission, paid your tuition fee, all right, for 1 year. You need at least 680 euros times 12 months. The bank statement, probably you're going to need the 3 months bank statement. Let's say 680 times 12 is going to be 8,160 euros here. Plus and minus, you can say, okay, you want to have 8,200 euros just to be safe. All right. That's for you, the main applicant too. Now, if you're a family of five, where you talk about the wife as a spouse, then the 3 kids. The spouse now, in most cases, will have 50% of that 8,200 euros now. Then 50% of 8,200 euros, you'll be looking at 4,001. Now, that 8,200 euros is for you as the main applicant, number one. Now, 50% of the 8,000 for 8,200 is 4,001. There is 4,001 plus on top of the 8,200. That's for 2 people. Now, remember, why am I saying 50%? Is because your spouse is above 18. If you don't have a spouse, maybe you have 3 kids. Now, the fee will get lesser, especially if the kids are below 18. That is 25% of your own proof of funds. But if your spouse or definitely your spouse above 18, that's 50%. If your kids are below 18, that is 25%. All right. If you have like 3 kids, you do 25% times 3, you will know the amount. Now, on top of your main applicant, at the top of your own 8,200 plus your wife 4,001. All right. That's your proof of fund. I can't do the math now on top of my head, but if you follow this logic, you understand. If your kids is below 18, 25%. If your spouse, definitely your spouse is above 18, 50%. And you, the main applicant, is 100%. So if you're a family of 5, you know that the main applicant is full, the spouse is 50. Then if the 3 cases, 25, 25, 25 times 3, that's your amount in euros that you need to have in your statement. The money can be in the main applicant account, all right, all together. And remember what I keep saying always: good inflow, good outflow. Make sure that your debit is complementing your credit and your credit is complementing your debit. All right, that's one thing you need to know. And again, when it comes to the proof, of course, you want to move with family, you need to prove your relationship with each other. How are you guys related? For example, the main applicant can be the husband. Then you need to what? You are married. Your wife is your spouse. There is marriage certificate to show the two of you are together, the bound. Then the kids, you need to show what? Family pictures and also what? And the birth certificate of these kids. That's a relationship to show that you guys are related. If you're moving with family, then this is where you start getting what? Family relationship letters, Remember, all these documents, marriage certificates, birth certificates of kids need to be what? Notarized by your local government, by your high court or whichever one you have in your country, and also what? Legalized by the Spanish embassy as well. And also what? Your academic document needs to be legalized before you can put in for visa application here. All right? Pay attention to this. It's very, very important. Make sure that your marriage certificate, birth certificate, relationship letters is all good. Now, still more, let me still bank more on the sponsor, on the funding, that is the POF. If you have a sponsor, fine and good. Sponsor can give you a sponsorship letter, give you his or her bank statement, an affidavit, a sworn affidavit stating his or her relationship with you. That flies as well. You remember, all these documents that he or she's going to give you have to be notarized as well. All right. If you're also using sponsor in your application, I would say it don't depend solely on the sponsor. At least the sponsor can provide like 60% of the funds. You, also the main applicant, provide like 40% of the funds as well. All right. So that it helps to prove a level of responsibility that this person is not just depending on one person. How about the person decides to change his or her mind, or something bad happens, or how life gets? Person dies on the way, or maybe something happens. We don't pray for bad things, but this is something you need to put in consideration. That's why I said don't depend solely on your sponsor, even though you're on scholarship, because there's a lot of schools here there's a lot of scholarship in Spain, which I also talk about. If you have a sponsorship letter, it's fine. So remember, if you are moving with dependent, you need to also account for those ones that is showing extra funding for those people as well. All right. Now the next other one I have here is for the housing. In this case now, for you, somebody who wants to move with dependent, remember, like I said earlier, it's not every house you can move in with family. There's some houses where they will tell you pet is not allowed, pet is allowed, smoking is allowed, non-smoking. You can't bring in visitor. They only allow couple. They don't accept families. So you need to look at housing. Now, when it comes to housing now, let me see use this case scenario. For example, family of 5 or family of 4 here. Which kind of house do you need to get? Probably 2-bedroom apartment, depending on you. Now, when I say 2-bedroom apartment, I'm talking about 1 parlor, separate, 1 room. That is 2-bedroom, 2 rooms and 1 parlor. The husband and wife can set to share. The kids will have 1. Then there's kitchen and bathroom and all of that. If you have family of 5, you can set to have for like 3-bedroom, 1 parlor, 1 bedroom for the husband and wife, then 3 bedroom for the kids, divided among the male and female kids. All right. Now, what's the price range for this? Probably can be looking at, for example, that's why I said, if you are moving and you tend to move with family, or maybe a single applicant, I would say leave the big cities out of this, like Barcelona, Madrid, leave them out of this. Go to Valencia, go to Toledo, Badajoz, all these Valencia, Malaga, all these places, they have good vibe, welcome energy. The integration is pretty good. There is in order to find your ground on that place is pretty easy, because if you go to Barcelona, you go to Spain, or maybe if you go to Barcelona, you go to Madrid, man, on your own. Generally, Europe is on your own, but at least to kind of find your feet is going to be a little bit tougher. But once you move to all these, once you move out from the main cities, navigating life and seeing people who carry along is way easier. In the big cities, it's quite tough because everybody is always what? Going after something. Everybody's always going after something. Even for you to walk up to somebody and talk to the person one on one on street, it's going to be difficult because everybody's always what? On the, like everybody's always on speed on the street when it comes to the big cities. But when you move out of the big cities, life is always steady, life is calm. You can always what? Relate to somebody on the street without the person having that mindset of, oh, what does this person want? I'm saying that of experience. I've been to this, what I'm saying. All right. So if you are somebody who really want to hear from me, then you should actually take this advice. It's very, very necessary, especially if you're moving there for the first time, maybe with family. You need to what? Find your feet. Very, very important. Now, the housing can be from 800 to 1.5, depending on the locality, depending on the house, depending on how the house is being, how the house is situated. All right. But I would say for, like, for example, for 2 bedroom, I would say like looking at 1.5 from 1,000, from 9, 1,000, 1.5, 1.2, depending on how the house is. All right. You should get a pretty much thing. Now, where can you get this house? For example, idealista.es.espanya works. There is, this place again called Fotocasa as well. Habilistka, there is a spainhousing.net. All these are places where you can actually get houses. That's if you move with family there as well. All right. Now, what do you need for the visa application here? You need insurance, private insurance, probably that have up to 30,000 coverage, itineraries like, for example, accommodation, flight bookings, and all that you need pretty much for visa application, which I will talk about later in a video where I will share my screen and list out document you need for your visa application as a student. Now, the dependent work. Recently, the law kind of changed where the government right now is kind of like allowing dependents to work. All right. So if you move into a spouse, probably he or she will actually get a work to support you in the process. If your kids are below 18, then probably they also need to go to school. If they are above 18, recently they also made a change where someone of 26 years can as well uh, be as a dependent. But to me, I would say if you're actually going to that route, you need to take it pretty easy. Don't, despite they said it's possible, that doesn't mean you should try it. I would say chill. If you're trying to move, make sure you move with people who are below 18. Those ones are kind of like, they are giving kind of like a little bit of favor in the eyes of the council, all right? That somebody who's above 18 kind of like looks iffy to a point. But it's still possible, just like the government said it's possible, but still chill out on that part already. Now, for kids, let's say you have kids who are below 18, they are minors, of course, you need to register them in schools, right? And one of the things, the public schools are free, but though for daycares, you need to pay for parents that have toddlers and little kids. For public schools, for all these children, is free. So if you're actually moving, make sure that you have, example, their certificate already, legalized and all of that. It will help in the process of trying to put them into school, also help them to get along. And one more thing you can actually understand is where we are coming from, and we move into this country is a whole different new world, a whole different new system. You always try to make sure that you integrate your kids in extracurricular activities outside school. At least take them to park. Try to integrate them to the society so that they can actually blend in and feel the same thing like their peers. Because like for example, people come from Africa, the system and the European system is always different. Make sure you integrate your kids to extracurricular activities so that they can actually blend in and grow with that same system, so they can feel part of that same system, so they won't be left out in some of the system, the lifestyle, and the cultural activities going on in the city. Is very, very important for families, especially for parents. This is for you as well, all right? Now, apart from that, that's really much you need. If you have all these documents ready, if you are moving with, let's say you have mom or father who are a little bit old, remember to go with their medical history, so that if they are being treated or looked after by the medical organization, they will know that, okay, this person has this history in this disease, or this how they have been treating the person so far in where he or she come from. So it makes it easy for whoever is going to take care of them in that country, know what to do and where to start from. All right. So moving family to Spain is pretty easy. It's just that it requires preparation, due diligence, trying to do the necessary things for you to actually move there. But let me say this lastly. It's not all rosy out there. The grass is not greener on that side. There's gonna be days where things are so tough. There's gonna be days where things are so rough. That is why I said move to smaller cities, because there's always people there willing to help, willing to assist you, willing to give you listening ears. But if you move to big cities, it is tough there. Let me say this out of experience. If you move to big cities, everybody's in cities is just there to make money. All right. You might even find it very difficult for somebody to come and stay. Hey, come and stay with me for these few days before you find your feet. But if you move to like outside cities, like lower cities, you might be comfortable enough. You might be lucky enough to find somebody who will be like, okay, come and stay with me for a month without paying rent. Come and stay with me until find your feet. It's possible. I have experienced it. I've shared my journey on how I moved abroad, how I was able to navigate the system. That's why I keep telling people, hey, move outside the main city, especially if you are coming in new. Stay outside the main city. Then after you find your feet, then you can look forward to moving to the main city. But first, when you come in to the country, man, it's not gonna be easy. I'm seeing out of experience, all right? Especially those who moving with kids as well. It's not gonna be easy. But there's so many benefits of networking, meeting with people from different parts of the world in big cities. But that should be something that after you have actually stabilized in a little bit before you can look into those things. So that's pretty much for this video. The next one will be document you need to apply as a student. I will list out the document, share my screen with you guys. We discuss and all this. Remember, I've talked about the proof of fund here, the one you need for your spouse and your kids as well. How much you need, how you can actually break it down, do the math yourself, the proof of funds, the if you're losing sponsor, and all of this. So it's pretty much easy for you to navigate all these processes. It just depends on you, how you want to go around it. All right. So if you want to talk to any of us, or maybe talk to us on video, maybe hear from us and see if we can actually get you prepared ahead of the time, reach out to us, send an email or book a call. All the links is on the description. Email is on the description. Link to book a call is in the description, and we are there to help and supporting the process. Apart from that, guys, I'll see you guys on the next one. I hope you have taken a lot of benefit from this video, from what I've shared as well. Like I keep saying always, if you have questions, regardless of what it is, comment below. The team, me, then team, we are here to respond and guide you in the process as well. All right. See you on the next one. Adios, guys. Like always, the Spanish people will say, hasta la vista. See you next time. Ciao.